Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm going to be doing a news/updates video. It's been a while since I've done one and there's been a lot going on. So the first thing I want to talk about is FPV goggles. So I've had a bit of a nightmare reviewing FPV goggles. If we go back to the Eachine EV100s, those didn't quite stack up for me. And then we had the Top Sky F7X fiasco, and yeah, they corrected a lot of the issues, but it's still not quite there for me. And then recently we had the Skyzone Sky03s, which were almost there, but again it had a few issues that meant that they couldn't be my main goggle. And it got me thinking, because I still say that my favourite goggles are the Fat Sharks, despite all of the issues that they have. I still think they are the best for what we do, and they're expensive for the Dominator HD3s, and they're bringing out the Core edition, which means that it's going to be a little bit cheaper, I think, around about £295. But that means that you're not going to get a battery or anything pretty much with it. You're not going to get a receiver. And it got me thinking, well, what other Fat Shark models are out there? And I kind of skipped the Attitude V4s, but if you look at them, on paper at least, they seem like a really decent goggle. I think they come in at around about £250. And with these, you get a receiver module, antenna, and also has a decent field of view. I think it's 35 degrees, and we've got a DVR in there as well, so they seem like a pretty decent goggle. So I'm going to be doing a video checking those out, and they actually have the optics of the old Dominator SDs in there, which were my main goggles for a while, so I thought these were worth taking a look at. So while on the subject of goggles, there are some new goggles coming out. They are called the Flysight Falcon FG01s, and they look just like the Fat Shark Dominator series. And I always thought, why did no one ever try to clone them, because they work so well? It seems like, at least the shape of them, they have tried to do that with these Flysight goggles, and hopefully I'll get to check them out. They also have a built-in DVR, they have a 33-degree field of view, and they switch between 16:9 and 4:3, supposedly. So, you know, I always say supposedly, because so many goggles have said they were going to do that and they didn't. But yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning. And also, while on the subject of goggles, the Eachine EV200Ds, I haven't heard anything, so I'm going to say that it's probably going to be a while before we get those, because I believe they're going to send them out to testers first. So yeah, no idea when those are going to be coming out. And speaking of beta testing, I've been asked to test a new Eachine Lizard. It's going to be called the Eachine 105S, and it's going to take a 4-cell battery, but it's also going to have a 720p recorder on board. A bit like the Split Mini, but yeah, it's not going to do 1080p 60. I think it's just going to be 720p, but that looks interesting. So it's good that they're also sending out to testers before they put it on sale. So there's no link for it at the moment, but I did get sent the manual, and yeah, it looks interesting. It doesn't have a micro CCD camera. I think they should have gone down that route personally, but this is a different market I guess they're going for. So it's going to have a CMOS camera and a built-in DVR, so hopefully that will turn up at some point and should be pretty interesting. So the next subject I want to talk about is a copter that I have built. So it's very rare that I get to build a copter and it doesn't become a video, but I thought, you know what, I just want to build a copter out of some parts that I've got. So I built a Floss, and it's come in really light. I think it's 257 grams. That's without this GoPro mount here. So the idea is that I wanted to build a super light 5-inch copter that takes a 4S, and I want to compare it against something that takes a 6S and see what the differences are. So yeah, this has come out really nice. I've got the Hyperlight 2206 2700 kV motor, or thereabouts, 2722 kV. And I got the Fly Tower F4 in here. You could go much smaller these days. This is just something I had and I never used it. However, this is important. Those little 20 by 20 HGLRC stacks, they support 28 amp, I think. This one's a 40 amp. So I was able to use these high kV motors, so it'd be interesting to see what power I get out of it. I might do some speed testing, that should be interesting. Then I've got a Runcam Micro Swift on the front. I've 3D printed a load of parts for it. So yeah, this was another reason why I went with this. Really nice and lightweight, and loads of 3D printed parts available for your antennas and stuff. It's a really smart build, so I'm going to be doing some content with this at some point, but it's also going to be like my main copter. I kind of thought if someone wanted to just go flying with me, I don't really have a copter that I can just take out and fly, because I usually end up hacking them up and putting on components there to try, and I just wanted a copter for myself, so I built this and I'm really liking it. Oh, the props, they are the GEPRC 5x4, nice freestyle prop there. So next, I was going to make a video on the Furibee GT215. Remember, the one that kept catching fire with UAV Futures? I think Albert Kim couldn't get his to fly. RC Shim had a motor that had a problem, and Justin from Drone Camps, he could get his fly if he changed the motor timing like mine. Anyways, they said it would take up to a 6S, so I thought I'd make a video on doing that, and whilst I was flying it, it did a flip of death, which I thought was an ESC problem, but actually one of the motors burnt out. So yeah, I would say don't use a 6S on this model. Just a public service announcement really for that one. So next I'm going to talk about the DJI Mavic Air. Some of you are probably thinking, am I going to get one? And I did think about getting one initially, but then I thought, am I going to be able to bring anything to it? You see, when they did their live stream, Casey Neistat and Fun for Louie already had their videos and reviews out by the time the live stream had finished, which I don't think is fair personally, but there you go. I might get one. I'm still on the fence about it. I'm not sure. However, it does look like Banggood are going to be stocking it, so we'll have to see. And while we're on the subject of these miniature aerial photography drones, I guess you would call them, Walkera have one. I think they're calling it the Peri, and it's also going to do 4K. I think Walkera are going to struggle against DJI, to be honest. DJI, I kind of feel like they're holding back now. When I look at DJI products such as the Mavic Air, I kind of look at what it doesn't do now rather than what it does do, because you just know the next version's going to have it. So the Mavic Air, it does 4K, but it doesn't do 4K 60 like the P4 Pro. It also doesn't have object avoidance on the side or from above. So I just think, oh, well, the next version's going to have that. So I just think DJI is sitting on that. And the Mavic 2 is probably going to come out soon as well. So this is why I'm kind of on the fence about the Mavic Air. But there's also another aerial photography drone coming out. It's called the GDU02, and that one also does 4K. It's about £544, and I imagine that's going to struggle against DJI as well. But hopefully I'll get to check that out at some point. So next I want to talk about transmitters, and in a previous news video I mentioned I was going to be checking out the Irange IR8M. It's a multi-protocol transmitter. However, I asked for the Mode 1 version and it looks like that one isn't coming anytime soon. So I think Albert Kim and also Sebi Doki have already got their Mode 2 ones. I'll link that in the below. You can check out the review of that because it's going to be some time until I get one of those. So next, let's talk about a bunch of products that are new, and hopefully I'm going to be able to test some of them. So I know for a fact that I'm going to be getting the GEPRC Hummingbird, so that should be coming. And I should also be getting the Babyhawk R, which I'm pleased about because I struggled to source one of those. And then HGLRC have got another model coming out. It's called the Hornet. It's a 120mm size, and it supports the 2.5-inch prop. And this is a prediction I'm making. I think the 2.5-inch prop is going to be a popular one this year. So the Eaglepower motors that I reviewed on the channel a little while ago, the 2306 ones, are now listed on Banggood as well as GearBest. On Banggood, they're just £12. You can get all the different colours, and you can get the 2 different KVs. I really like them. A really good motor, really smooth. I'll link them in the below. And while I'm on the subject of Banggood, some of you guys pointed out to me in the comments that if you are in the UK, you can no longer buy batteries from Banggood, and that is true. So I checked with them, and it's not a restriction thing. It's a problem they're having with their courier, and they're looking at a different courier to supply batteries to the UK. So hopefully that will get resolved, because I like to buy my batteries from Banggood as well. And also on Banggood, I've noticed that the Mrsteele Taranis has been listed. It's quite expensive though. So another product that looks good is the Transtec Frog. It's just £143, and it is a 5-inch. It looks like it's got some really nice specs. I've also noticed a model called the Trainer90, and it seems to be a 1S brushless model. I'm really pleased that we are still getting these 1S brushless models, because they're a lot of fun to play about with. So next I'm going to reel off a bunch of new products available on GearBest. Now I always put a warning out with these ones, because GearBest, they are outputting so many models, but they don't seem to be very good with the shipping. They don't get the stocks right. I buy from them personally, and if I have to wait a couple of months for a product to turn up, I think it's a good deal. I just fly something else until it turns up. But not everyone has that luxury, so I want to put that out there. So they've got a model called the Dragonfly 110. It's really unusual. It's a Y formation, and it looks like it's got a micro CCD camera on there. I'm going to be getting that one soon, so look out for that one. It seems as well that they have cloned the Vortex 150. There's a model out there called the, I think it's the Detrum Tombi 150. It looks to be an exact clone of the Vortex. I don't know if I'm going to be getting one, probably not, but we'll see. Then we have got a model called the Furibee Bison 150. Now the Furibee smaller models have generally been pretty good, but again I'm going to put a disclaimer on here and say wait until someone has reviewed any of the Furibee products before you buy into them, because they've been really hit and miss lately. But the micros have been a little bit better than the bigger models. Then we have a model called the Dragon DT160. This seems to be another 3-inch 4S model. It looks pretty nice. I'm loving the 3-inch models at the moment. They are some of my favourite models. And it seems like they have added a couple of more models to their GT series, which of course were heavily flawed, so be careful with these ones. They're called the GT243 and the GT230, and yeah, I'll hopefully check them out. We'll see if they are any good, and hopefully none of them will catch fire. Then Skyzone have actually got a model coming out. It's called the S140. It's another 3-inch model. Seen a lot of 3-inch models coming out. Really like that. And I've had a lot of questions about this next one in the comments. The Furibee Space Wolf DT140. And I think I did mention it in a previous news video, but I want to talk about it again because it does seem to be an update to the X140. I think it's just got bigger motors, and that's become a popular model because it fits the mini split, so it's got a lot of space in there. So yeah, hopefully that one will get released soon. And while on the subject of that model, I've seen a lot of questions about what frame that is, because people want to take that frame and build up their own model, and that's a great idea. So you can actually buy that frame on its own. It's called the Arrow VX140, and I'll link it in the below if you want to buy into that, and then you can build it yourself, put your split on there. It fits absolutely perfect. The split mini, that is, by the way, because it's a 20 by 20 stack on that one. So there you go, that is the news. Plenty of stuff coming up, And I'll say, as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.